What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast or webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show with gratitude, I'll make it very fast this time, man. I want to say thank you to anybody who supports us, man. Everybody on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, do all the YouTubing and stuff. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit the like, follow the page. We appreciate you guys. With all that being said, I have my partner in crime, Core, with me. Core, what's up, good brother?
I'm chilling, man. What's good with you, man?
Ain't nothing, man. I want to get right into the right into the stuff this evening, man. Yeah, I mean, I want to go through all the first things, man. Yeah, man, because I want to make sure that I want to make sure we're maximizing efficiency now, man. Because there's nothing worse than, sometimes I listen to podcasts and they be, drawn and all that. And I want to get right into what you're going to talk about. Okay. So let's do that. Let's be more efficient, man.
Let's get into brass tacks.
Yes, and for those that are listening or watching for the first time, our podcast is dedicated to talk about all things Black wealth as well as personal finance. And, we look at articles and stories and things of that nature to kind of bring these points home. Now, I have an article. All right, let me pull this up, which was from the Fortune magazine. Is where I saw this article. Some of these pop-ups, Fortune is drawn right now, y'all. And for those that are listening to the audio, I will put a link to this actual article in the show notes so you can take a look at it if you want to, have a discussion in your house. That's some of the best feedback I get. Like, yeah, I was talking about that with my wife or and my family. And, that's what it's really about, is having these conversations. So let me read a little bit of this article that I found in Fortune. It says, 40-year-old homeowner says economy doesn't add up. I'm making the most money I've ever made, and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. Shout out to Claire Ballantyne, as well as Eliza Reynolds-Hannon, who wrote this. So here's a little bit about the article. Won't read the whole thing, but I'll read enough so you can get context and get the gist of what we're going to talk about. She says, after years of managing household budgets through the stress of the worst inflation in a generation, U.S. families are increasingly pressured by a different kind of financial squeeze, and that is the cost of carrying debt. 2 years after the Federal Reserve began hiking interest rates to tame prices, delinquency rates on credit cards and auto loans are the highest in more than a decade. For the first time on record, interest payments on those and other non-mortgage debt are as big a financial burden for U.S. households as mortgage interest payments. So let me slow it down for you real fast. That means that people are paying just as much on their credit cards and things of that nature as they are their mortgage, which is crazy. So as the figures suggest a difficult reality for the millions of consumers who are the engine of the U.S. economy. The era of high borrowing costs, however, necessary to slow price increases, has a sting of its own that many families may feel for years to come, especially the ones that haven't locked in cheap home loans. And the Fed, which meets next week for a policy decision, doesn't appear poised to cut rates until later in 2024. So as monthly debt payments make up more of workers' paychecks, those consumers are more exposed to potential economic contractions, right? So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. It says, debt burden could be a drag on Joe Biden's reelection bid, with the economy consistently registering as a top concern at the ballot box. So this is Nikki Semino, who is the topic of this article, a 40-year-old recruiter who lives in Denver, said she finally saved up enough to buy a condo last year, but missed out on the ultra-low interest rates that had made home ownership more affordable in the early days of the pandemic. Her 5.25% interest rate pushed her monthly payments to $1,650. After a divorce in 2020, she's shouldering $4,000 in credit card debt, right? That ain't nothing compared to some of the stuff I talk to people about. Anyway, that's a sidebar, but I digress. I'm making the most money I've ever made, and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. She said there's a wild disconnect between what people are experiencing and what economists are experiencing. So the article goes into how people have been relying on credit. So people looking at, purchases and things that are made, talking about the economy is doing good, but a lot of it's on credit. A lot of people really don't have money. It says the typical charge on a credit card has climbed to a record above 22%, and that's according to the Fed. So people are borrowing at higher rates and having to borrow at higher rates because of
every time somebody charged their card, they're using 22% of the money that was on their card. That's vicious.
Well, they're being charged 22%. which means that if you buy for every dollar you spend,
$1.22 back.
$1.22. Yeah.
Oh, that's gangster.
So that adds up, right? So it gives a couple more examples in this article. Some people are blaming Joe Biden specifically. It goes into all kinds of different things, but the gist of this article is, also more information about student debt burden. It's a long article, but you get the idea of what's happening. She's saying that, you watch TV, you watch CNBC, you see the economists talking, and they have these specific talks, but that's not people's reality.
At all.
We see it every day because of social media and how people talk on there, but we know it's not their reality. And the other funny thing about this specific topic as it pertains to credit, every time I put up a joking meme, I like to get memes off. Memes is my thing. And it's about credit. People be in the comments like coming at my neck because, we got the point chasers out there. They ain't dream chasers. They point chasers. They be out here chasing these points, running up debt and getting themselves in trouble. But according to them, they're making money. But that's either here nor there. But that's not what the data shows. So, Core, I've been gunning. I'm gonna let you have the floor. I want to know, what is your thought about the article, and overall thoughts about how you see things in this economy and people having to use more of their income to pay debt.
Salaries aren't keeping up with the inflation and taxes that are being levied on the people. So people are making more on paper and bringing home less. And so when you look at your paycheck, it says, or when you pay your taxes, it says, I made 100,000 or I made 150,000, but it doesn't. That 100,000 or 150,000, they don't tell you that your taxes went up in your borough, and they don't tell you that they went from 3%. It doesn't tell you that your store went from a 3% tax to a 4.5% tax. It don't include all of the the price hikes for fuel and for cost of living things. So none of that is reflected in your paycheck. So you're not seeing it, and you like, damn, I'm making more money than I ever made in my life, and I'm not getting nowhere. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So what people we like to call them invisible taxes. People not seeing all of those invisible taxes. And so what's happening is people are feeling like they should be doing better than they ever did before, but they're not understanding that the economy is we are the sum of our choices, right? And that goes for us specifically and us as a nation, right? And what we are is a debtor's nation. And so with that being the choice and interest rates rising, as a debtor's nation, people are going to get squeezed up. So you got to be really, really careful about how, you handle your debt situations. Not saying that all debt is bad, but you got to be very, very careful about how you handle your debt situations.
Yeah, and don't confuse debt and leverage. They're two different things, right? You're not using your debt to make any money. You're using your debt to buy consumer goods. And it sounds like in this article, people are using it to survive, right? And I'll never knock anybody.
Yeah, like
for surviving, right?
If you gotta put some Cheerios on your credit card to get through the week, nobody's going, nobody's belittling that. It's just you gotta be very, very careful in this economy, because the thing is, what they want to do is they want to slash you and beat you down when it's bad, so that you're not prepared when it's good. You know what I mean? Because all the money is, you know what I mean? Because the thing is, during the pandemic, everybody that was prepared got rich. You know what I mean? Like, people that were prepared got rich, and those who weren't got a fistful of nothing. So you got to be very, very.
I think it's hard to understand like how things go in cycles. So
yeah, it's terrible, man. Like, it's and the thing is, it's the same play over and over and over again. And so that makes it, that makes it even worse. So, just be careful. That's all. That's the bottom line message. Be careful, especially about your debt situation.
Yeah. So what I'll add is this. What I'll say about the article is this. And hopefully no one who's listening to this or watching this is really going through that. But I have seen situations where people are progressing and they're using that debt to get to wherever they can get to, but it doesn't really feel like it. Um, which is why sometimes people have done the math and they say, yo, you can make $400,000 as a doctor, but by the time you factor in student loan costs and all that, you might as well just went to school to be a plumber because long term, right? So we got to be strategic in how we use money, and that's the other thing, right? All of this is a game. The whole thing of personal finance is a game, and we got to figure out how to put ourselves in the best position to prosper long term. And we're talking about a survival and things like that for your family. But if you're always paying 22% for everything that you do, because especially if you're one of these people that are the points chasers, like you got to be really, really careful with that. People out here with $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 in credit card debt, paying over 20%. Like you are somebody else's ROI instead of getting your own ROI. So just be very, very careful with how you use debt. And it's okay to live below your means, right? I know some people out there like, nah, you gotta expand your all
YOLO.
the internet gurus and the 10x folks. You gotta expand. That's fine, right? But again, for me, everything is about being strategic and looking at data. Look at the data. What does the data tell you? Look at your own data. What does your own personal data tell you? Right? Because some people are better than others at budgeting, but I think everybody should have a budget. I know there's a lot of people that disagree with that too, but that's okay. Personal finance is personal, but I need a game plan of what I'm doing and what I'm trying to build or where I'm trying to go for me to go there. So this is an interesting article. I will share it so everybody can have an opportunity to read the article because it's a very long article. And they talk to that lady. They talk to a couple other folks who are being hit with the same issue. It's like, yo, my income is up, but because of what's happening with inflation, right? Imagine every time you got a raise, but then you went back outside to buy the same sandwich you buy every day, but every time you get a raise, the price is going up. It's like, yo,
that's really
like
what's happening, though.
Yeah, I'm on a treadmill.
People don't have to imagine that.
It's real life. It's absolute real life, man. And it's sad some of the stories I hear too, man. Like I told a story in a previous podcast about a young lady who's probably going to have to move just to maintain the same quality of life that she had before the pandemic. So people are making decisions that are changing their lives and their family lives just based upon the cost of living in 2024.
Man,
right?
I tell people all the time, the first place I notice it because I have 4 boys is at the supermarket, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go to buy the same amount of stuff and my money don't go the same distance. You know what I mean? Like I go get the same stuff.
Gas pump.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really notice it at the gas pump because my card, you know what I mean? Like I got an economy efficiency card, so I might pay $1 or 2 more, like, so I'm not really like I don't notice, me personally, I never notice it at the gas pump unless it's like exorbitant. But I always notice it at the supermarket because I got a shopping list. I go get generally 95% of the stuff I get at the supermarket is the same every week, right? So
yeah,
I notice immediately at the supermarket. You know what I mean? Like because
you start looking at the receipt like, oh, something wrong.
Yeah, like because I 1 week I swipe my card, it's $250. The next week I swipe my card, it's $350. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. What happened in a week? You know what I mean? It was all good just a week ago. You know what I mean? Like, dang. You know what I mean? Like, it was all good just a week ago. And now, you know what I mean? I'm $100 shorter somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because, I got my grocery money budgeted. And so when I go to swipe, I'm one of them people, I'm not getting out of line and I'm not putting nothing back. So,
Mm-hmm.
so, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. So $100 got to come from somewhere else.
I think the idea of budgeting and looking at how you spend your money is like an absolute cheat code because I've talked to people with higher incomes, lower incomes, and most people, in my experience, this may not be everybody's experience, but for those listening or watching, in my experience, most people have no idea how much money they spend, right? And when you sit down and you figure out, like, yo, I go to Wawa every day, I be ordering DoorDash and Uber Eats, like, and you start adding stuff up, and then you realize, like, I'm out of pocket. You know what I mean? Like you just don't
I'm
realize
fully out of pocket. It ain't nobody hand in my pocket. I'm out of pocket. Like, what am I doing?
But sometimes that takes the actual act of writing it down, not trying to do it in your head and saying, I know what I spend. No, take the time to write down all of your purchases. Like, I mean, I've done this several times, like, because, I've done it, got myself together, and then I said, let me do this again, then realize I'm out of pocket. All right. Especially when it comes to like Ubering and DoorDash and all that kind of stuff, because I'm quick. I got a car, but I'm quick to call an Uber just because I don't like driving. I'll be completely honest with you. And one day I looked up, like, I'm out of pocket. I'm actually out of pocket.
I need to get my life in order.
And the thing is, it's something that's like continuous, right? So I'm not disciplined in every aspect of my life. I think I'm most disciplined when it comes to my finances, and I've been blessed because of it. But it's like it's almost like a drug addict, right? You still have to check yourself every once in a while. They say one day at a time. That's how finances are. Like,
it is.
I got it together, but every once in a while I got to go back and look at the paperwork, watch the game film. That's why I laugh at how some people, who pretend to have it all together all the time. Like, y'all are lying. Like, and all I got for y'all, all I got is heat and tough talk for y'all, because some of y'all be lying, man. No one has it all together. And I can honestly say that, but it's a work in progress. To make sure that you're always moving forward, and once you have that goal, you're focusing on your goal. So, if you are listening to this and you don't have it together, don't feel bad, because it's a work in progress. But the reason we share the information we share and have these conversations are because you can see that we all trying to figure it out. But the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want debt. We don't want to be paying stuff in the past. We don't want our debt and stuff that we purchased in the past to ruin what we're trying to do in the future. You dig?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know.
All right, man. So with that being said, though, the questions that I have for you guys today is this, and leave it in the comments, leave us some feedback on social media. I want to know how many people have a written budget, not nothing in your head, but actually take the time to see where you're spending all your money. And if you do have it, how often do you revisit it? Because it's not just about having it. How often do you revisit it, right? Because one of the things we talk to the kids about when we do our summer camp, which is coming up this summer, we tell them, like, when you lie on your budget, you're lying to one person, yourself.
You lie to you.
So don't be one of these people that lie on their budget, like, you know what I mean, trying to shave a couple dollars off here and there so you don't look bad. You're lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Put a quarter in your, all right, never mind. But listen, do you have a written budget, and how often do you revisit it? That's the only question that I have for folks. And also, how you make it out in the world right now with everything costing more. So I do want to ask that second question. We add that in there too. Like, or do you feel like you should be living a different life based upon your income, but because of maybe debt, because of maybe inflation, you're not? I would like to ask that question as well, man. So, Corey, you got the last thoughts we got here, bro?
Like I said, just be careful. Like, it's vicious out here. Like, and then there's a lot of invisible taxes going on, and so keeping track is very, very important, right? So Jim been beating this in my head, for the last 12, 13 years. Like, keep track of it. And so what I started more is, like, every time I do something, I got a note, John. Like, so what I'll do is I'll just go on my note and say +5 or plus.
You know what? That's another question. You just gave me another idea. Another question. What tools do you use?
So I just use my notes, John. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't have like those fancy apps. They drive me crazy. So I don't need nobody to like. What I just do is like if I have a coffee, well, I don't drink coffee, but if I go have a soda and some dinner with my wife or whatever, or we go to the movies or something, I just go right on my notes app. And then every month I got a joint on there. I'll start a new notes app every month at the beginning. And then I'll just say +5, +6, +10.
All right, so here's what I want to say.
+70.
You have a system that works for you. Everybody has to have a system that works for you. But now I'm going to add a third question. I know I only had on one question, but I got a third question. What tools do you use? Right. I use something called Clear Checkbook. It's free. I use the free version. I don't even use the paid version. And it allows me to literally track every penny that comes in and every penny that goes out. And then, every quarter I go in there and look at it, and either I'm disgusted at myself
or proud of yourself.
I'm proud because I got extra money for more tax. But, a lot of times, to be completely honest, I'm disgusted with myself. But, it is what it is. I gotta keep it real with y'all, man. All right, man. So listen, we appreciate you guys. Also, Monday, Stack Sats of Die Trying. Wednesday, Buy the Hood Podcast. Friday, Buy the Hood Friday Live and Bitcoin Giveaway. That's our schedule of our content. Every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, we are live and we are talking with our folks. That show kind of goes off the rails. We talk about finance, but we talk about everything from movies. Who our folks' favorite.
We get around like Tupac on that show.
I should say this on Friday, but I'm gonna say it here because I want you to maybe watch a little bit of it before Friday so we can discuss. It's called The Warrior. It's on Netflix.
The Warrior.
Yeah, is it called Warrior or The Warrior? But matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you right now while we're on here. Now, this is some of the stuff that we generally do on Friday, but I want to make sure Core watches this before Friday, so this Friday we can have a little conversation because I binged the whole season of this joint. Is absolutely fire, man. It's a lot of action too. I know that's your thing. People getting murked out and all that. It's called Warrior.
I'll see now. I'm gonna watch it because
it's called Warrior.
Because when you was just talking about watching, I'm like, but if we got some people getting, snatched.
Oh, listen, within the first 10 minutes, people exchange hands, dog.
Oh, that's it. That's
the first 10 minutes they exchange hands.
I'm in. As long as somebody is
watch a little bit. Let's watch a couple episodes so we can talk about it Friday, man. But everybody else, make sure you pull
a shot, stabbed, or knuckle down. I'm.
That's an MOP album.
You know what I mean? I'm all in. You know what I mean? Like somebody got to be getting shot, stabbed, and knuckle down, man.
All right, no doubt. Let's talk about that Friday, though. For those that are listening to this before Friday, pull up on us Friday at 7 p.m. We do give away Bitcoin every Friday and have done so for a couple of years at this point. Check out the most recent episode of Stack Sats of Die Trying. It's actually 2 this week, episode 6 and episode 6.1. And you'll see why we have an episode 6.1 when you listen to that. Those are both on audio as well as video. This is audio as well as video. Friday Live is audio as well as video. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support. Camp coming this summer. But as we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you guys on our next episode. Peace.